It's time for the Loco Sports Lowdown. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett, Wes Kerr, and Max Araj.
Close, but Marcus Walsh sitting in the Wes Kerr seat tonight. Wes taking the night off, and so it's going to be the three of us rolling tonight. We've got company coming by, though. Going to have the Stricklander and almost certainly Blue. Blue's in the green room. He's here. So they're both in the green room. They'll be joining us here in a little bit. We already had one doggo appearance pre-show at Max's house. And I had a cat driving me crazy who's sitting over here. Well, now he's distracted by the other cat. But
I got to get one of my girls in on here one of these days. Maybe
when Stitch drives me crazy enough, I make him make an appearance against his will, and he never did.
I need to do that with Amy. She's the wild one of our bunch.
He likes to get right up here under the desk and drive me crazy.
Is he a tuxedo?
No, he's gray and white, but then she is a tuxedo. Except she has a mohawk from over grooming herself because she has anxiety but won't take her medication.
We've got a black
Neurotic
cat, Amy, and then the great tabby is Penny, named after the Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, yeah. I'm tracking. First show since Monday. We took last night off. Everybody was just kind of either otherwise engaged or run down. It's that time of year. We're all burning it at all ends and staying busy. And some nights it's just like, hey, not tonight, fellas. But most nights we soldier on. I was a little tuckered out and a little wound up actually because I got to be non-coach dad last night and went over after brief practice. I got over to Hilton Head middle school for the big middle school showdown. Stingrays versus the Bulldogs of McCracken. Ended in a 3-3 tie. We snatched tie from the jaws of defeat. Bases juiced, 1 out, daylight fading, no lights. So we know this is probably the last inning. Bottom of the inning, Hilton Heads up. They got the bases loaded, 1 out, fly ball to center. I'm like, stay behind it, kid. Get behind it and shoot 4. It's the only shot we got. My boy takes a step back. Truman Jarrett goes and gets it, throws a strike to the plate, little up the first base line, but beat him by plenty for the catcher to go get it. Out by a long shot at the plate. Ball game, tied at 3.
Your description of that reminds me of a game that I was doing in college with the Ashland University Eagles. Very similar scenario. Middle of the game, the ball was hit to right field, and Ryan Avery was our right fielder that year. Made the catch and just threw a frozen rope to home plate. I was going nuts. And I'm getting images of like 2000 and what year was that? 2010, 11 in my head of me calling a big double play. But that was even bigger for Truman to win the game, you were saying.
Well, to prevent us from losing the game, it ended in a tie due to darkness. Okay. But that was the winning run for Hilton Head. Had that run scored, it would have ended the game Truman. In a loss. So yeah, made the big play. Props to coach for putting him in center that inning. He played a lot of left and maybe a little right, but threw him in center that inning. He was there to make a big play. A bunch of kids came up. Nick Ferrugia pitched really well in relief, came up with a big hit. Jack Amarino pitched really well starting and came up with a big hit. And the Hilton Head kids played great defense on the infield. My God, they made some great plays. Ran the bases exceptionally well. Much respect to their coaching staff, Pete Fontana, their head coach. Middle school baseball in the area is really off to a much better start than last year, I think, as far as just the level of play. So we continue to see an uptick, across the board as far as baseball goes. And I think all sports really, but baseball is one that is really emerging as like a powerhouse sport for this area. And we'll talk more about that later. We'll talk Hilton Head Christian Academy because Maxie, your boys are on fire. After getting back from IMG, they got a big one tonight against Hilton Head. They also got a big win last night against Trinity Collegiate, but we'll talk more about all of that in the Skeezer Report with Stricklander and Blue coming up here in just a minute after we give our presenting sponsor, Mickelson Law Firm. They're our original sponsor with us since the beginning in 2017 and our all-star sponsor. They are our official real estate closing attorney and presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. But they love all the teams in the Loco, and they can help you with all your legal needs. Mixon Law Firm right in downtown Bluffton, presenting sponsor of the LowcoSports Lowdown and the all-star sponsor of LowcoSports. And tonight they present the Skeezer Report with the Stricklander and Blue. What's up, buddy? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. There we go.
We're good now?
We're good.
Yeah, there you go.
We can hear you. There he
I'm
is.
getting attacked.
What's up, Blue? You my boy.
I have a cat too, but she stays outside. I'm allergic, so I can't have them in the house.
She keeps the rats out of the house.
Well, you know, she's supposed to get the snakes and all kind of stuff like that, but her fat butt just sits on the steps and looks at me.
You can't feed the outdoor cats too much. You got to keep them hungry. You gotta
she
let do their
eats.
job. Well, what's happening out on the farm, buddy?
Well, was that?
Yeah.
I haven't added everybody's number in that group chat, but was that Jimmy texting?
That was Jimmy.
Yes, that was Jimmy.
Yeah, okay.
Talking about Carlton Prep.
Yeah, well, for baseball for us, it's kind of the same deal as Carlton Prep this year. We got a pretty young team and all that, and I mean, and you got some seniors and all, but I don't know how much playing time they've been able to get, valuable minutes anyway. But we just won our first game last night against Carlton Prep, so we're leading the region right now. And then we got a home game Friday against Carlton Prep again. So, but I got soccer tomorrow. I've been a little.
You had soccer last night as well, right?
Yeah, it was. The boys' game started pretty good, but the girls' game
ended pretty good for BA.
Do what?
Ended pretty good for BA.
Yeah. No, I've been a little out of it because I had a death in the family last week. And,
man, hate to hear
I just kind of
Sorry to hear that.
I just kind of took off a little bit, but trying to get back in it. That's why when you texted me today, I was like, what do I talk about? Because I'm kind of the last couple of days I've been trying to get back into it. But
I see. So you've fallen behind on your secretary duties for SCISA. Tracking down all the scores. But yeah, we mentioned Carlton Prep struggling a little bit this spring. Their baseball and softball, I think, both winless at the moment, which is unusual. They're usually really good in both those sports, so they're just a little young right now. Patrick Henry girls soccer with the win last night against BA 2-1. Maura Mathis with both goals, right? The second one.
Yeah, another Mathis.
Down, second OT.
That's
that's
little sister.
I was gonna say. So they just have athletic children in that family, obviously. And then the BA boys with the 6-1 win after Patrick Henry drew first blood. So they turned that around on you. But what are any storylines developing early in the spring season here in SCISA?
Well, today when I was doing my updates, the biggest thing I noticed is just how the reclassification has kind of changed everything. Sorry, he dropped his ball. I didn't know what that was. So you had teams that were dominating AA, moving up to 3A, and then you had teams dominating 3A to 4A, and then 1A to 2A.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the 1A teams, it's like gutted. I think. Let me look at this. 1A SCISA baseball has 6 teams.
6 teams. That's it.
Two teams. Holly Hill and Jeff Davis are the only teams in their region. So congrats, you're region champs already.
Oh,
and then the upstate region with Newberry, Wardlaw, and all that, they've got 4 teams. And then softball's about the same thing for single A. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams. Yep.
Oh my.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, I don't know how you draw up playoffs for that, but I'm sure they'll figure that out.
Either.
And then
you draw straws for who stays home, and then you play a 4-team tournament.
Yeah, I think you would have to.
And then when you look at
you just put everybody in, right? I mean, you just 1 through 5, I guess.
I mean, honestly, because even
that's what they really should do.
5 teams for softball.
But dude, there's been years where SCISA 1A, like I remember Buford Academy won some state championships in girls tennis in SCISA 1A, where it was literally just the state playoffs where they played Charleston Collegiate or whoever for the
and
championship.
Low Country Prep from Polly's Island.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be something like that. Like, yeah, I mean, there's years where SCISA 1A might as well not exist in some sports.
Yeah, I just knowing what I know, I hadn't seen like this since late 80s, 90s. I mean, it's
my super awesome friend Jeff Riley checking in.
What's up, Jeff?
Another Jeff.
Jeff hung out with me at school yesterday for a few hours in the Ville and got indoctrinated.
Apparently he's the new TA. I'm no longer allowed.
No, you're still welcome. But they did say that they liked him better because he smiled the whole time. They were just messing with Max though. They love to mess with Max. It's like their favorite pastime.
They love
JJ, the man. You're the man, Jeff. You're the man. Love that dude. But the classifications are definitely taking some getting used to. And that's where like
I'll say is when you look at, and I'm not even touching like tennis and track and all that. Like somebody else can do that. But I've been trying to do soccer a little bit too. But for some reason, I texted Rip. I was like, "Hey Rip, you got a soccer region thing?" And he's like, "No." And they'll never post it on the SCISA site because they'll combine like 1A and 2A, and you never know who's in this region or that region. They
right,
say,
the flex.
It's the same as football, but girls isn't. Girls is the I don't know.
Yeah, so boys soccer is the same as football, but girls soccer is the same as all other sports, right?
That's how it should be. But
allegedly,
then when it gets to playoff time, you never really know.
No, you never do. No, they just pull it out of their hat.
That's what it seems like. Because we're it's crazy because we're 3A in girls soccer and 1A in boys soccer. So Buford last night was a conference game for the boys, but it was just a game for the girls.
That makes that.
That's so funny.
We're single A in football and 3A in all sports too. I don't know. Carlton Prep.
You know the worst part is they're never going to get this under control the way it's going. It's just that's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, who's going to get it under control? I mean,
I agree. I understand football. Like I get that. That's a thing in and of itself. Boys soccer, to an extent, I understand it, but it shouldn't be the case. Like I honestly think if girls soccer is 3A, boys soccer should be 3A as well, despite whether or not you're a good enough team. The goal is to get better and be able to compete against that level of competition.
This is my reaction to.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, soccer always confuses me. I don't know. I just don't get it.
My brain
structure, and it just doesn't make sense.
It's like when they tell you 2 + 2 equals 5. You're like,
yeah. I remember there was a point years ago when, before last season when Hillnet Christian won the baseball state title, the one before that back in 2010, all their sports, including football, were playing 2A sports at the time. And they were up until just recently. But the baseball had won the 3A title back in 2010. They decided to compete at the 3A level rather than the 2A level. And I never understood how that came to be, but it's just one of the things like you don't understand, and that's just SCISA for you.
You can play up, you can't play down.
Right.
Unless you're the only school I know of in spring sports for SCISA right now is Marlboro Academy in Bennettsville. And they're AA flex. That's what they call it, flex. But when they go to the playoffs, they're going to play single A playoffs, which I think their baseball and softball seems to be all right. I mean, if that's all the teams they have in 1A, Marlboro might have a shot, I think.
Yeah, so size of the school absolutely matters.
A lot of times it's more to do with geography, I think.
Really?
Does,
but the size of the sport does play in. I mean, ostensibly, They stack them up by size, and that's how they determine the classifications.
Yeah,
but
and I think
there's
that's
always a little gerrymandering
Yeah.
that happens for geography.
When you say
Because you don't want to
geography,
stick a team with no region partners,
Right. Well, I would say
That's where the flex comes in, is geography.
I would say
That's
this.
where Cross and them get pushed in.
Because JP2 and Hillhead Christian geography-wise does not add up. But I mean, yes, they are close together, but the rest of the teams are at least
right. Wilson Hall,
2 hours away from
Lawrence Manning,
Trinity.
But there's no way around that until we have more bigger schools down here. I mean, it's either that or you put them in a Charleston region, which really the Charleston region makes more sense, but there's enough schools central to Charleston to have their own region. So it's just kind of where they're lumped in right now.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they have exactly.
I totally understand that. And it's just, it's something that, of course, Christian Academy and JP2 will get used to.
Well,
I remember us
if
talking
Hilton Head
about
Christian or if Hilton Head Prep, gains some steam again and gets their numbers back up to that 4A level too, that could also, be good.
I tell you what, I think they are well on their way. I think that they.
I think their academy,
some big time.
I think their academy programming is really attractive right now. That model. So I think they're going to continue.
Here's where it gets interesting for Prep, because now they've added more kids because they combined Seapoint Montessori and Hilton Head Prep together.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
And I think that will help and matter, but I still think it's going to be a few years out before.
I don't know how much that changes their enrollment numbers for classification, because I think that's
just 8 through 11.
Is it just 8 through 11 or 6 through
Rising? I don't, something like that. I think it's just
with them adding Seaponds Montessori, it's now a full K-12 school, and I guess they've added more kids to that K-12 part. Well, I guess they were K-12 beforehand. They just added more kids to that age group.
Yeah, and I don't think they count the elementary kids, but I don't know that for certain.
Well, they can't, because you got like John Paul and Bethesda who are like 6 through 12 or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Right. You're only going to count the ones that are eligible to play. That's the only ones that make sense.
Which a 6th grader can play varsity, or 7th grader can play varsity. You might have to appeal it.
6th graders can't even play. 6th graders can't even play middle school and high school league, which is one of the things that I can't stand. One of the rules I hate. I just think there's so many. Well, no, it's not even about me. But it's about me recognizing that there are a lot of other people in the same situation where we're struggling for numbers in smaller schools. And if you allowed 6th graders to play, we wouldn't be. It would solve it. And the reality is that the kids, that a lot of kids are ready to play in 6th grade. They're fine. There's not a big difference between 6th and 7th. For most kids, some of them might not make it their 6th grade year, but that's fine. They still have 2 more chances. But the ones who can play, they should probably be playing, especially at schools where they need them, to field the team. My opinion. But on the other hand, we got some people in our state who want to just disband the high school league and let the government run high school sports. And that, I will just say flat out, is an atrocious idea that should not get any traction. And you should be writing your representatives and being like, what are you talking about? No, y'all have bigger fish to fry than managing high school sports. The high school league has its flaws, but it is a member-run organization. And it's the best thing we got going for high school sports right now. Let's not have a total Wild West situation.
Wow.
Where the state government's running high school sports. I hope you have the most powerful congressman, because if you do, you're going to win a lot of state championships. Like, no way, man. We don't want no part of that.
Greenville, they're going to be trying to get everything.
No, we want no part of that, folks. So that's my soapbox on that. Anything else popping off at you, Stricklander? Hilton Head Christian baseball looking good. They picked up a nice win over Trinity last night, 2-0. It was Hayden Brooks and Chip Hetzel on the mound doing the damage, and they scored a couple in the first and then shut them out the rest of the way as Blue goes to chase his ball. And then they beat Hilton Head High tonight. So big win.
Yeah, Max, we played y'all in soccer Friday. It was freezing cold too. But I didn't realize that y'all had giant birds that live on the football field.
Oh yeah,
like
osprey.
That's what they are. I didn't know what they
were. They're probably osprey.
I think they are.
I just knew it was.
They nest up in the lights.
Big bird. Yeah.
Yeah, probably osprey. Osprey are cool.
This is huge. I was like, dang, they got the mascot living here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Tonight's game, 8-6. Hilton Head Christian scored 6 in the 7th to win it.
Yes, they did.
Holy cow. I'm sure the highlights are on Bupert's Own. We'll check those out later.
I think so. I hate
so
that
who's the best teams around in the Skeezers, Strick? Who's gonna compete for state championships?
Oh, I don't know. Let me look at my. Oh, right now, it looks like everybody's beating everybody, but right now people are standing out. I got Ben Lippin, 6-1, Pinewood Prep, 6-2.
Wait, what sport are we talking about?
Baseball.
Baseball. All right.
Yeah, that's really what I know the most about right now.
All right.
Pinewood Prep, 6-2, First Baptist 5-1. Trinity Collegiate's 5-2. John Paul's 5-1. Hilton Head Christian's up there at 5-2.
Yep. 6-2 now, and John Paul beat Wilson Hall tonight as well. 3-2.
They did well. They must have had to play at like 12 o'clock. I know John Paul doesn't have lights, and that's a long ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. I
don't know what time they played, but they got it in today. 3-2 win for JP2.
It's about because First Baptist, if I'm not mistaken, has played JP2 at some point this season.
Yeah, I think that's great.
It was a nice, crisp game, so that helped them get it in. I imagine they call a lot of strikes when they're calling the light limited games.
Yeah.
Good outing from Solomons. Ben Solomons went 4 1/3, walked a few, but struck a few out. Mishko, Gem, and Heathcott finished it off in relief. A couple RBIs for Logan Cotter. He had a double. Big win for JP2. They make the return trip to Sumter on Friday.
Whew.
I have a
6
really
p.m. start.
It'll be a beautiful.
I have a really good feeling that those two games that Christian Academy and JP2 will play against each other for region spots is gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, they should be good.
I have a good feeling about that. And it's been, I don't think in my time being a player, or during any of the years that even when Hilton Head Christian was down in terms of baseball before Wilkerson came in, I don't think there was ever a time that JP2 was better than us.
Maybe not. Because when Hayden was like a junior and senior, he didn't have somebody to catch him was the problem after Roman left. And so he couldn't catch himself. If he could have, they would have been just electric on the nights he pitched. If he could have been Bugs Bunny. But because he was so good behind the plate, but he was also their best pitcher. And I remember there were nights where he would get 4 strikeouts per inning. Like one of them would be a drop third. They get on base.
Bunny, he'd have to be the road runner.
Yeah. Well, remember Bugs Bunny? Remember when Bugs Bunny played all 9 positions and he would pitch it and then go catch it?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And he filled out the lineup right. He's like, batting first, playing center field. Bugs Bunny, batting second, playing second base. Bugs Bunny, batting third, playing.
I mean, hell, he'd have to be Sonic the Hedgehog just to be able to play all 9 positions.
Bugs Bunny also had that lethal changeup that would make you swing 3 times and spin yourself into the ground, strike out on 1 pitch.
What, when he threw like this?
Yeah, he threw that ephus and they'd swing 3 times on 1 pitch and spin themselves in the ground and strike out.
Yeah,
nasty, just nasty.
I
saw Bluffton smoked McIntosh County tonight. We'll get into some more scores here in a bit. But Stricklander, you've been on a little deep dive down Blues rabbit hole lately. You told me getting into your SCISA historian role.
No, this isn't SCISA. So I guess my one contribution to whatever, if everybody
Society.
gets one thing. Everybody gets one thing before they die. Maybe, and this I've been doing this for years, but I do scores and schedules for sports teams, like high school sports, and everybody's done football. They've got that website that I use all the time.
Yep, that database.
And but nobody does basketball and stuff, so I've got a ton of basketball scores, and I shared my Beaufort High School ones with you, going back to like 1930 or something like that.
It's unreal.
But I don't know, I just get on random, wild hairs, and this time I'm like, what's the best South Carolina basketball team from the 70s? And
from the 70s.
Yeah, I still got. I don't really know. Do you want to look at championships? You want to look at conference championships? You want to look?
Are you talking about since the 70s or just
no? From 1970 to 1980?
In the decade of the 70s, who were the best teams?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you'll have to report your findings to us. Any local teams of note?
Well, not Beaufort and not Battery Creek. Yeah. Not then. Not at that time.
Well, it almost certainly wasn't Hilton Head. They didn't really have.
No, that was McCracken.
Yeah, McCracken. I don't think McCracken had that
late
much
70s. They're pretty good
tradition.
basketball.
Were they?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember running across a ton of basketball history from them, but it's funny because you run into some weird stuff at times. Like, I remember when Hardyville girls made the state championship. I thought all the research I could do, and said with some degree of confidence that they were the first girls basketball team from Jasper County to reach the state finals. And boy, was I wrong. And I was told about it. Grays.
Oh yeah, my grandma was Grays.
Grays made the state finals and won the state championship a couple times. So I ended up talking to some old guys that played for Grays back in the day and writing about them.
All my kin people.
People will they will inform you when you make a mistake of omission like that. And we made that one right. We celebrated that Grays team.
That was when they played 6-on-6 for girls.
And that lady she called up and said, no, our team from Grays made it. And I said, from where? Grays. And I was like,
that's the center of the world. You got to learn that.
Yeah, well, I never forgot where it was after that, but I didn't know there was such a place until that lady came into my life.
That year they won state. I think it
might have been your grandma that I talked to.
Nah, she didn't play sports, but that year that Grays won state, I think they won the Class C state title. That's when it went C, B, A, and AA. And they won the Class C state title, and Estill girls won the B title. And both of them went like 20-something and won. The only game that Estill lost was against Grays at Grays. The only game that Grays lost was Estill at Estill.
I almost certainly knew that fact at one time and wrote it in the Island Packet, but I had forgotten it. So I appreciate you filling in the edges there. But Grays girls basketball back in the day, Eagles. What was it, the 60s?
Do what?
Was it like the 60s that they won them titles?
50s.
50s. That's what
Grays
I was
closed in like
66,
65, around there.
Little country school. But yeah, they could really play. And it was the 6-on-6 where you can't go past half court, right?
Yeah, you had the rover that could do both. I was talking to somebody who they played at Denmark Oler in the 60s, girls basketball. And they were like, it was actually kind of boring because if you weren't the one that could go back and forth and it was something was
going on. There's a lot of standing around.
You just kind of stood there and watched. So pretty boring.
Like the poor midfielders, long stick midfielders in lacrosse that just got to stop it halfway and watch them play. It makes me sad for them. But well, hey man, we appreciate you, and we appreciate you keeping Blue at bay as much as possible. Although we love
he was gnawing on my arm.
Yeah, we love it when he makes an appearance, but we like knowing that he's just causing misery to you off camera.
Doing what he does.
Doing what he do. You're my boy, Blue. Appreciate you, Bo. Be good. Take some time for yourself and stay out of Blue's rabbit hole as much as you can.
All right, I'll see y'all. Take care.
Be good, buddy. That's the Stricklander. Always good talking with him and Blue out on the farm, out on the Loco frontier out in Hampton County. It's pretty country out there, man. We drove up to Aiken last weekend for softball and drove up through there, and I like driving in the country out there, except for the cell signal. It's no bueno.
Yeah.
We got to get rural broadband. There is a lot of potholes in Hampton. You can like really see the neglect out there. We got to do better by those folks. But the people are good. The food's good. There's good food out there in Hampton. They know how to eat. They know how to eat. All right, boys, let's get some sponsors in. We welcome Hudson Seafood House on the docks back for another year on the Loco Booster Club. Great place for seafood, sunsets, and cocktails on Hilton Head Island, right on Skull Creek, and presenting sponsor of Under the Bus. New episode coming out later this week. We haven't settled on a night and time, but I'm thinking tomorrow night will be the time to do it. And we got a new sponsor, Hilton Head Furniture, joining us. They've got great handcrafted furniture made right up the road in Hickory, North Carolina, and sold right on Hilton Head Island. And if you're looking for great furniture that will stand the test of time, not the big box stuff that falls apart on you, go to Hilton Head Furniture. Go see our friends, the Satolas, big supporters of Hilton Head Christian Academy and LowcoSports at Hilton Head Furniture. All right, boys, I got a couple headlines that we'll talk about in a minute, but I'll run through some scores first. We will not pay much mind to USCB baseball because we don't want to get Max's blood pressure up, but they took a couple L's to a really good Embry-Riddle team, 12-0 yesterday and 18-3 today. Embry-Riddle's, they're a powerhouse. They've been a powerhouse.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're I'm
not going to get my blood pressure up over that. I mean, granted, it's a midweek series.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing to be worried about. The one thing I will say is they, in both games, USCB used 9 pitchers in the first game and 8 in the second game.
That's what they should be doing right now. Yeah,
that's what they should be doing, and they're still trying to figure out what kind of talent they have as a team. So I'm not worried yet. I'm not worried at all. It's a midweek series. They're trying to get ready for the
big series this weekend. North Georgia coming to town, and Marcus, you're calling Friday's game, right?
I'll be on the call Friday.
Very cool. Very cool. Love to see you getting in the mix
Game
over
Day
there.
Network.
Yeah, it's good times. Some other scores. Well, Embry-Riddle got the better of USCB on the softball diamond as well. 2 really tough games, 2-1 and 6-5 down in Daytona today. So tough losses there, but they get a chance to bounce back over the weekend as well. Who they got this weekend? I don't have it in there.
Hold on, let me take a look.
But they got somebody. Flagler. They're at Flagler.
Yes, that's right.
Saturday, Sunday. So a midweek series. Yeah, basically a friendly. That's more or less right. You're just working some stuff out, and if you win it, so be it. Last night, some other scores. Girls lacrosse Bluffton pounded Pinewood Prep 16-6, and they've been getting beat by the local team. So Pinewood must be it's probably a young program, probably a new program there. Not a lot of SCISA teams have had lacrosse programs in the past. So it's just starting to pop up. Boys Benedictine edged Hilton Head 12-11. Really good game there. Hilton Head looks like they're going to be pretty strong for this area at least. Boys soccer JP2 10-0 over Northwood Academy. Let me look up this stat line because it's a crazy one. Let me dig through my email here. There's a crazy stat line involved here. The man of the match was LaFountain, Trenton LaFountain, which is a great name, by the way. He finished with 6 goals and 4 assists. Two hat tricks, a sock trick. This is soccer. That's.
I wonder if it would be Trenton LaFontaine, if it's French.
Perhaps there's no E on the end though.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no E on the end though, so I'm LaFountain. LaFontaine. Yeah. I have considered that, but
French with the southern twist.
Yeah, LaFountain.
That's right.
Where'd you get that drink? Over at LaFountain?
LaFountain.
But yeah, great stat line for that gentleman. 10-0 over Northwood. BA 6-1 over Patrick Henry, as mentioned. Berkeley 4-1 over Colleton. Edisto 4-3 over Hampton. Hilton Head 1-0 over Pinewood Prep. Boys soccer, that's a good win. May River blanked the Canes 8-0. We were a little banged up. We had the wrong Tinoco in goal for starters. Pepsi's out, so Ephraim, who's supposed to be a center back or a forward, is playing goal. So it was a whole debacle, but we'll get right. Playing the toughest schedule in 1A. Glen Academy and Hilton Head girls went to PKs. Glen won 4-2 in PKs. Patrick Henry beat Buford Academy 2-1 in 2 OTs. Maura Mathis with both goals, so a brace for Patrick Henry. Berkeley 6-1 over Colleton. Baseball, Patrick Henry 8-6 over Colleton Prep. HHCA 2-0 over Trinity Collegiate. And Bridges Prep 16-0 over Whale Branch. And softball, Bridges 25-10 over Whale Branch. And Hilton Head 15-0 over Bishop England, which Bishop England's down this year. Yes, a fountain of goals. Today, we mentioned the baseball and the softball. First Baptist boys soccer beat HHCA 1-0. Baseball, Hilton Head Christian 8-6 over Hilton Head. John Paul 3-2 over Wilson Hall. Bluffton said 9-0 on Game Changer, but Mark Renix is a person of virtue, and he said it's 10-0, so I'm believing him. And then Buford softball 6-2 over Battery Creek. So there's a few scores to mull about. I don't know how much any of them mean at this stage in the season. We're just kind of feeling it out right now. Not region contests by and large, so nothing too big there. But we did have big news for a Loco superstar, Poona Ford, getting paid again, baby. Poona is going to make 30 mil over the next 3 years for the Los Angeles Rams. He doesn't even have to change stadiums. He just changes locker rooms at SoFi and jerseys. Doesn't have to move, but gets a big payday. I thought it was interesting. I was looking at the headlines regarding this, and as you know, kind of navel-gazing media types like me, you might appreciate. I liked looking at and trying to figure out which team the reporter reports about when they wrote these headlines. Like, former lightly used Buffalo Bills defensive tackle Poona Ford given massive new contract. That's kind of a skewed headline. Seahawks fan favorite Poona Ford signs with NFC West rival. So clearly that's a Seahawks blog. But you know, the prevailing thought is that he really upgrades the Rams' run defense. He rates really high against the run. He did have a rough year in Buffalo where he didn't fit into the scheme and he didn't play a lot. And, but if that's what you're taking away from Poona's career, you're kind of missing the point because the guy's been really good everywhere else he's been.
That one article headline was by Sports Illustrated as well.
I know, but clearly by their Bills blogger or whatever, who's trying to trash on him because he didn't do much in Buffalo, but he's getting paid a bunch of money.
He's doing something though. I mean, he's been in the NFL for 11 years now.
Yeah,
in the NFL
it's not like he's been in there for 2.
Something.
He's a veteran.
Yeah. Poona's building a lot of roads and bridges out in LA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's funding the interstate system. Thank you, Poona.
I love when people are
help us get from Buc-ee's to Buc-ee's.
Like the dude's getting paid $30 million over a 3-year span. I mean, that's enough money.
He's got to be doing something right.
This guy's going to help this team.
Yeah.
You're not going to pay someone $30 million in a 3-year span if he's not going to be able to help your team. You know, he's always a help. I mean, especially on run defense, he's one of the best in the game right now when it comes to run defense.
I'll tell you this too. Going back, gosh, it's probably been about 3 years ago now. This was before I met Sam and before we started dating. I interviewed Poona at the SOAR event, and
he's a man of few words.
I tell you what, he's a man of few words.
Yeah,
but he's a sweetheart of a guy.
He is. He really
is. He is the definition of a gentle giant,
a teddy bear,
and yes,
big teddy bear, man.
And he made this guy looked like this guy was about 10 years old.
Dwarf, yeah, no doubt.
I mean, he just
he's a big
towers
dude, man.
over
Monster.
everybody, including me. And
I had
I'm
to
not a
take a
big guy
picture.
at
I had to
all.
take a picture with Xavier Chaplin once because it was just too funny.
Right.
Just too funny.
Yeah.
That man
All
was
the best to
dwarfing me.
Poona and all the best to his entire family too. Sam used to work with his dad. And Sam told me some great things about his dad. And I actually had a chance, I guess it was a little over a year ago, to meet him. And we talked a little bit. You know, I told him that I covered him for, you know, some of his time in high school, and then talked to him at the SOAR event. Great guy and great family, the Ford family. So all the best to Poona for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Whole locos behind that guy. And props to BJ Payne. I mean, I've told this story before, but you know, when he came in, Poona was a linebacker, and he said, "Hey, trust me, you're a 3 technique. You got to put your hand on the ground." And everybody said, "Well, he's too short. He can't play that at the next level. He can't do that. He can't do that." And Payne said, "No, man, this dude is a nose guard." And he said, and he's gonna play in the league for a long time. And he was absolutely spot on correct. I mean, his career has developed almost exactly as he predicted it would.
Yeah.
You know, the hiccup in Buffalo is what it is. But the fact that you know, he didn't stay on the market long. He was scooped up quick by the Chargers, who recognized what he could do in the right scheme.
Right.
And then obviously he must have had some suitors this year, because you don't get 10 mil a year for a defensive tackle unless some people are probably bidding for your services. So,
right.
He's part of the reason that Chargers defense had a decent season. You know, like he
was really good against the run. He's an excellent run stopper who can also get pressure on the quarterback, which is a pretty rare thing. I mean, you got to be so big and wide and strong to stop the run in the NFL, to be that guy in the middle, that most of them don't move well enough to get pressure on the quarterback. But Poona can do both. And so he's a run stopper that you don't have to take out of the game on 3rd down. And you know, that's you know, in those in between situations where you can leave him in, because sometimes you make a personnel decision change, you know, to get quicker on up front, then they check to a play that exposes that. Poona is that kind of rare guy in the middle who can bridge that gap at times, and give you a 3 down nose guard. So yeah, he's had a great run, and credit to him for putting in the work and following the blueprint that was laid before him to go. And I think Warren Sapp is, you know, Warren Sapp's a Hall of Famer, obviously. So
that's a decent comp, Kev. I agree.
That's kind of a big tag to put on him, but I think it is a decent comp. I think he's a similar type of player. Sapp was probably a little taller, right? But he's definitely cross schools softball teams 1-0. Their next game's against Dorchester. There you go. Jeff Riley reporting the scores. Bridges Prep 15-3.
Good stuff. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Aaron Donald. Yeah. I mean, again, we're throwing out like Hall of Fame type names.
Aaron Donald's just another story.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, well, he is more of an edge guy too, right? Like
Poona's a great run stopper.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald was just good at everything.
But I think Poona has like 11 career sacks, which is a little higher number than you might expect for a guy who's got a reputation as a run stopper, you know?
Yes.
So he's gonna go down. He's gonna be one of those guys at the end of his career that people are like, wow, like we kind of underrated this guy, didn't we? He was like really good for a pretty long time.
That sometimes happens with defensive linemen and offensive
for sure.
linemen.
Yeah. Well, because longevity is rare. So when you end up having some longevity, it's not until after that people really appreciate it, you know.
Like look at Jason Kelce. I mean, like nobody really knew who Jason Kelce was.
Right.
Later in his career.
He was kind of an anonymous offensive lineman until he was an All-Pro and all those things.
Playing
but
in the Super Bowl.
Kind of how it goes, because you don't see those guys' faces much.
Right.
He would have been playing the Super Bowl this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, I had HHCA's big wins on here, but we've kind of done those pretty good justice during the SCISA segment. Any other things come across y'all's radar recently?
Well, I will say USCB softball, like we didn't mention enough, that Emory Riddle softball team is really good. And for it to be 2 1-loss games in favor of Emory Riddle, that shows me the USCB softball team is really ready to go. They're ready to get back to action. They're ready to start winning some games again. And I think their upcoming series against Flagler is very good. I looked at their record. They're 13-6. They played this Emory Riddle team at the start of the season. They lost both games to Emory Riddle as well. So that obviously shows how good Emory Riddle is as when it comes to their softball program. And those 2 games, they only had one. They had a 1-run game in terms of Flagler against Emory Riddle. 1-run game in their second game, but the first game, Emory Riddle took advantage of them big time. And so you look at USCB going into this series. I like to see them win at least 1 out of 3 games in this series. I want to see them try to get on the right track. I would love to see 2 out of 3 against them, but 1 out of 3 would be just great in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that would be terrific.
Yeah, I would definitely
look them up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. We're talking. I know you mentioned softball.
We're talking softball. Baseball is a different story. I think for baseball, they're still trying to figure out what they have as a team. Still trying to find some chemistry as well. I mean, look, their season has been probably in terms probably their toughest start to the season that I've seen this program have in terms of the opponents that they've played this year. Starting off against North Greenville, who's probably a national championship contender this year. And then you go on, you play multiple teams, including Florida Southern, who's now, I believe, ranked in the top 25 as a program. Then you start your PBC conference schedule against Augusta, and that was really, for me, that was the series that threw me out of the loop because I didn't understand. Augusta coming in with a 2-12 record had not played as many tough opponents as USCB, and I just thought this is a really good series for USCB to get 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and they got the first one, and you felt like they were.
And then the next 2 just wasn't what I was looking for, and I said, okay, that's fine. They can always get another series down the road, and then you play multiple tough opponents that were tough last year. You played Georgia Southwestern, who of course always will be a powerhouse of a program. I mean,
there's just no easy. There's no easy ones except Claflin.
And I got really. I will say I apologize because when we talked about that Augusta series, I got really frustrated.
You're fired up. You're fired up.
2 out of 3. That's all I asked for. That's all I wanted.
You care, and you're invested. I get it.
And I understand the loss to Georgia Southwestern as well as Georgia College, and they got a huge series this week against North Georgia, which I'd like to see 1 out of 3 against that North Georgia team. But we all know that North Georgia program is something else.
They've had their number in starting to do a little bit of research for Friday today. They've had their number, of course, going back to 23 when USCB got their 1 win against them. But it seems like they've been able to put some runs up. Will they be able to defend against the opponent? And even more than that, will they be able to pitch? Because that seems to be the equalizer to why, especially this year from the numbers that I've been seeing and a little bit of what I've heard from you guys, why they're struggling.
I suspect that's why we saw 17 pitchers over the last 2 days or whatever. And you're going to have a short leash, and whoever's got it, Gonna keep the ball for as long as possible.
Granted, Ted Faulkner is finding ways to get this team wins, and he's doing a good job of it. It's just they haven't.
Yeah, they just can't fall too much more behind the 8 ball. You know.
No, I agree. I agree. I think at this point in the season, they need to, start finding ways to win. I think if they put their best foot forward this weekend, I think they can get 1 out of 3 against North Georgia. I mean, granted, we saw them play Georgia Southwestern last year, and we did not think they were going to win any of the 3 games.
Right.
And they somehow won 2 out of 3 with them.
Yeah.
I'll be perfectly honest. It's probably going to be 1 out of 2 because Sunday weather-wise looks absolutely
they'll just end up playing a doubleheader Saturday then. I guess they'll get it in.
That makes
sense.
They'll
get it in and get them out of
preloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, another big thing that's going on this weekend scheduled, and I think it's rain or shine, is the Hilton Head Parade on the Hilton Head St. Patrick's Day Parade on Sunday.
Oh, them people will be drunk.
That's going to be
well.
It's gonna be a washout because of all the rain that's gonna happen. Unfortunately, I mean they're expecting, like, depending on if you live in Bluffton or Hilton Head, 75 to 90% chance of rain, anywhere from 15 to 30-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, it's gonna be a really rough day.
But
hey, boys, my computer is going to die soon. So we're going to start bringing this in for a landing because it's that time anyway. Some more sponsors.
We're sticking to your theme there, Kevin. We're sticking to your guideline.
Base It Life is our baseball and softball themed apparel sponsor. They got cool stuff like Max's usual Calm Your Mitts hoodie. It's been a little toasty this afternoon, though, so he didn't use his hoodie tonight in the garage.
That at all.
Beautiful evening. I sat outside and talked with you on the phone this evening, Marcus, and it was just so nice out there.
Yeah, even this morning. I went to work a little bit later than usual today.
It was toasty at practice.
It was like 10 o'clock.
It hit about 80. It hit about 80 this afternoon. It was pretty toasty, but I like to get a little lather going at practice.
I hope those fields dried up because yesterday
Field's looking good. Field's looking good today. Yeah, we're looking good. We're good for tomorrow. North District Hampton coming over for a middle school game.
My field was very squishy, and Trent
and then Friday, we'll get to that in a minute. But Dr. Ambrose Cole's our official chiropractor. You can find him at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and he'll get you feeling right, mind, body, and spirit. Reverence Wrestling Club, our official wrestling sponsor and presenting sponsor of the Loco Grind. Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country, getting your floors so clean your feet will thank you. And Jay's Barbershop, the place to be in Ridgeland if you need a haircut or even if you don't. Cool place to hang out and good street tacos down that way. All right, parting thoughts, boys. I was going to say, Max, you do have a game on Friday.
I do.
2 o'clock. It's the afternoon delight in the Ville for the spring fling. Friday, our students get early dismissal at 2 o'clock. They can pay $3 to get out early and go to the baseball game against the Johnson Adams Smashers. Former Jasper County coach and legend James McNeil bringing his boys over from Johnson to play us at 2. And then we got middle school soccer and then varsity boys soccer against Stall to end the night. So going to be a fun night in the Ville, starting at 2 o'clock.
I am excited. It's our first official game.
That's right.
Technically, according to Beaver Academy, our game on Monday was last Monday was technically official.
Well, according to the high school league, it wasn't. So
yeah, so I don't know. But I'm very excited. We have a solid team. I think we're going to be okay this year. It's a work in progress. First year program, really. And
we got some kids who are learning the game and falling in love with playing it, and that's fun.
Yeah, and I think that's the goal, is to get this team to know and learn how to play the game properly.
Yeah. It ain't about wins and losses this year, not really.
No, not really. But I would like to see us make playoffs this year. I think that'd be really great. And I think
I think we make it automatically. So
I think we do as well. I think we'll beat Allendale. Because I don't see Allendale.
I think 4 teams. I think 4 teams make it, and we only have 3. So I think we're in.
Oh, okay. Well, cool.
For baseball and softball.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the season to really kick off. I know Eamon Collins is excited as well. He's he's pumped. He's ready to go. So am I. And
me too, man.
You know, we got a great team. And I'm very excited to see how we can improve as the season continues. But you know, it starts with making sure all of your players show up for practice when practices come around. And that's been an issue. So
I had 18 out of 23 today. It was pretty good.
Good for you.
Pretty
That's
good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I had nearly enough come yesterday.
I might have even had 19. Actually, I had 19 because at one point one had to leave and another one came, so she was able to slide into her spot. We did a full 9-on-9 inter squad. So now that was middle school and varsity combined. But.
That's the other thing we're trying to push across too, is like we're trying to bring in a culture, like
exactly. It takes time. It takes time, and I got a little bit more of a jump. Like I was already a couple weeks into it when Eamon really got on board and all that stuff. So you guys you're coming along. You got more kids matriculating out there after school, and
I need to get my track players to show up for practice. That's what I need to do.
Here's a fun fact. There are 6 deadly snakes in North America, and they all live in South Carolina. A local feral colony keeps triangle head snakes away from kids. All about cats. That's a 5K coming up.
My guy, Kevin Libby.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Stuff that you didn't know you
Is
needed
that the
to know.
feral colony that lives over by Belfair? There's a bunch of them over there. There's a bunch over by Kitty's Crossing too, appropriately.
You know, sometimes I just can't even with you, Kevin. I can't.
I love Kevin. His brain operates on a different frequency.
I have known weird Kevin things, man, since 2014, and when I say that he is literally one of the best people that I know and one of the best guys that I know in this area, I mean, honestly, he is something to behold.
When I found out he was considered like family to my girl Nikki and her husband Charles Francis, and he held baby Cammy when she was a baby. Cammy's my dog, third baseman for the Loco Bombers, and I knew that you know, I already knew we were kindred spirits, but that was another feather in Kevin's cap. That those people. He says the Stricklander gets him, and there are many feral colonies. There's one feral colony in every middle school in this country right now. These children, we got to get these middle school children under control.
I can't disagree with you on that one.
Oh my!
I think the parents of middle school children would agree with me.
Boom.
Marcus, you got any other parting thoughts, or Max for that matter?
Well, I mean, I've been focusing on some other things ever since the DRI wrapped up, you know, last week, and I've got some more out and abouts that I plan on doing. I'm going to be at Wingfest in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that. Or I guess now a week and a half from now. Looking forward to that. Covering that for WHHI, but you know, so I've kind of been out of the loop a little bit, kind of like the Stricklander, focusing on a few other things over the last week. But great to be back with you guys, and certainly looking forward to get back on a microphone, calling USCB baseball on Friday against North Georgia. Really looking forward to that and seeing what there is to offer in terms of seeing what those guys can do there.
Maybe you'll bring them some luck.
Never know
on the USCB call. Yeah, Hilton Head Prep baseball off to a great start. They've got a big one at HHCA next week on the 20th, Thursday night. That should be good. They had a little influx. They had some guys transfer in and reload, so that should be good. Here's one for you, and we talked about it the other night, but I want to plug it as often as possible. And it's cutting off a little bit of that, so I'll hide this real quick. But the Jay and Carrie Wendell Cancer Awareness Day, we mentioned it before, happening on Saturday at the Nest. They're going to have 2 baseball games. Paul the Sixth is coming in. I'm not sure where they're from.
I have no idea, but I did see this as well.
Yeah, they're coming in. They're playing Bluffton first at noon, and then Hilton Head at 2:30. They're going to have food trucks out there, all kinds of stuff, raising money for cancer awareness and to honor Jay Wendell, who just recently passed, just a titan in our community, honestly, especially when it comes to youth sports, a big cog in the wheel, So we miss him, and I am sure they're trying to support Gary as well during a difficult time.
If I can interject, because when you guys initially talked about Jay, I had found out about his passing just, I think, the day that you guys were set to talk about him. I guess it was a little over a week ago now, I think, if memory serves correctly. Normally does.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
So I found out about it just online. I think at work, and I texted you guys and whatnot. And I hadn't had a chance to talk to you guys a little bit about my experience with Jay. I interviewed him at the Sinesta. This is going back.
Yeah, he was
Several
at the
years.
Sinesta.
I can't even remember what
It's
the
got to be
event
like
was.
17 to 19, like range, right?
And I also maybe even like 16, maybe even 15. I mean, we're
I don't know
going
how long he
back
was. Yeah, it's been a while.
And then I think I did some performances with some of the choirs, or maybe the special choir that I sang in for years, the Port Royal Sound Vocals, and I got to see him again. So I didn't really have a chance to know Jay well, but I will say that he was very, very kind to me and very kind to the community. Of course, with local sports, he was a titan and a supporter of a bunch of people, but nobody, of course, quite like his son Connor.
Yeah.
And to the entire Wendell family, my thoughts and prayers continue to be with you all. And Jay, rest in peace, Jay. I mean, you
power, brother.
were one of a kind, in peace and in power, for sure.
Yep, left an indelible mark, and that's really all we can all hope to do. We don't know how much time we get here, but try to make the most of it and do the most with it, and he certainly did, and would have continued to for a long time. That's the sad part. That's the loss is just that he brought so much to our world.
He was so young.
Yeah. I mean, only 3 years my senior. It's frightening. It can be taken from you at any time, and I try to live every day to the fullest, because we don't know when the last one will be. But Marcus, you always carry luck in your Duke bag.
I do. I think around with you. I think I'm going to be wearing my Duke tie probably come Friday.
I have a thing that I started.
I think they're going to be taking on North Carolina on Friday evening, as I'm calling that game.
I started a thing with the boys, the Waves boys, years ago, when one time we were just really struggling offensively, and I said, "Come here, hey, look what I got! I forgot I had this in my bag. I forgot I brought it. It's a rally. See it? It's a rally. They only work if they're from your local area. Like, they don't work. You got to bring one from home. You can't just catch one here. So we got to let it out, but then we got to catch it and take it home with us." And we let that rally out, and we scored a bunch of runs. And so then every once in a while, when we were in a slump, one of them would be like, "Hey, coach, did you bring a rally with you?" And I'd have to go get in the bag and dig around. "Oh, I got one." And we'd have to let it go. So, psychology matters, man. It matters.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, great show tonight. Great talking with the Stricklander. Always fun to chat with him and know what's going on in the Skeezer world and out on the Loco frontier. Thanks to Marcus Walsh for jumping in the West seat tonight. We'll see a little more of you going forward as you become a bigger star in the Loco universe. And we'll see about tomorrow night. I got a busy night tomorrow night. We'll have to check in tomorrow and see who all's available. We may need another night off tomorrow night out of necessity, but we shall see. And we will see you around here on the Loco Media Network. Good night, Jeff Riley, my super awesome, amazing friend. I did get your text earlier. I just got to wrap my head around it. I'll give you some ideas by tomorrow. But all right, boys. Yemisi Rally Monkey. you can catch a Yemassee Rally Monkey. I have been known to wear my Yemassee Monkey socks for luck as well. I got 2 pairs from Rock'em Socks from when the monkeys got loose. But good show tonight, boys. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to everyone who showed up to listen or watch, especially our friends in the comments, Kevin Libby and Jeff Riley. And we had a couple others sneak in there as well, including my guy, Brandon Hunter. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time. For Marcus Walsh and Max Araj, I'm Justin Jarrett. Until next time, go Loco.
The Loco Sports Lowdown podcast is a production of Loco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, an independent media outlet providing grassroots local sports coverage in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We are sustained by community support from sponsors and patrons like you. Get in the game with a monthly pledge of $1 or more at patreon.com/LowcoSports to keep us going and growing. Go Loco.